I always say give it time. Make sure that you've given it enough time, because we can think it's not working. We can, oh, we didn't get enough likes on that video. We shouldn't do video anymore. And sometimes it's just small tweaks rather than abandoning, because I do find that a lot of, especially in the beginning, a lot of small businesses, they will try something for a little bit, give up, either because they run out of time or energy, or they think it's not working, and they do a complete segue to a new lane. And then they try that for a little bit, and it's just always jumping around. So stay consistent, do minor tweaks first, but then after, give it a good amount of time, like 4 or 5 months, then you can do a full shift.
Welcome to Life After Corporate, your ultimate guide for making the leap from corporate leader to entrepreneur. I'm Deb Boulanger, entrepreneur, executive leader, and founder of the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs. This is your time to break through the glass ceiling once and for all and get your ticket to the C-suite. Come back each week to get the leading strategies, advice, and tools that will give you the skills and confidence you need to replace your corporate paycheck. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Life After Corporate, my friends. And if you're new to our show, welcome home. This is where you get the best possible advice on how to launch, grow, and scale a coaching or consulting or other service-based business to replace a corporate salary and live a life of more money, more meaning, and more impact doing work that really serves others. And today we're talking about content, because marketing and visibility today, to be discoverable, you need to have great, compelling content. And my guest today is Lisa Durante. She is a storyteller who is obsessed with telling human stories that help businesses and leaders grow. She started off as a journalist. Journalists are my favorite content creators because you are the epitome of asking good questions and telling good stories and tapping into what the audience wants to hear. She is the founder of JACC Communications, and she is the chief content strategist at JACC, a content agency that helps businesses that have outgrown doing marketing on their own. And my friends, if you haven't hired someone to assist with your content, you are missing out on exceptional growth and taking the number one thing that's taking up all your energy, all your attention, and all of your time off of your plate, because content is about 50% of an entrepreneur's responsibility right now. So welcome to the show, Lisa Durante.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Deb.
I'm so excited to have you here too. So we've known each other through Elevate Network. You were part of our 6-figure accelerator for a while. And I have just watched you transform how you deliver content through your channels. And it's been so inspiring. Personally, you don't know this, but it's been so inspiring for me to get out from behind the keyboard, which is writing is my favorite way of doing things, to get in front of the camera. So I would love for you to share with our listeners, how'd you get started with JACC Communications? Did you start this right away, or are you a corporate refugee as well?
Yeah, I had probably close to 15 years in corporate. And I was in the US for a good number of years, built my career there. And then we decided to move our family back to Canada, which is where I'm originally from. And the corporate scene was just different here. And it just wasn't hitting the same for me. And so I was like, what am I going to do? How can I do something different? And then I decided to step away and try something on my own. And that was 10 years ago, or a little over 10 years. And so still the best decision I made, as scary as it was initially, the best decision I have made.
What were some of the things that you had to overcome in those early days? Because I'm sure our listeners can relate. What were some of the things that you learned the hard way?
Yeah, well, there was just a lot that it was all on you. And like everything from the IT, there was no IT help desk, a big one. I was like, I can't just call someone to help me with this website or get this up and running. And then it was just all the different hats you had to wear. Internally, I was internal comms, and I had an external comms partner who did all the marketing and PR. And so I had a very singular role. And all of a sudden, it was much wider than that. And so really coming to terms with that and building up my confidence that I can do these things, that, yes, it wasn't my job before, but it's my job now, and I can learn and grow and learn. Yeah.
And is there a critical moment that you can remember when you did something and at the end of that you said, "Oh, I've got this. I know what I'm doing now. I feel more confident." Like, what was that moment, if you can recall?
I think it was my first client. So when I initially left corporate, I made sure that I kind of had my corporate company as my first client. And so, that was probably for the first 6 to 7 months. I was like, well, that was just easy. And so I just kept thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to pitch and get another contract. And then when I did, I was like, oh, I actually did the whole selling thing. I did the whole stream of it. And then they liked me enough to bring me in. And then that was the first moment, was just getting the contract. But then I think it was at the end of it, because there was so much doubt. Can I do this? Am I sure? I don't know this company. Can I actually learn about everything that they need? And then it was finishing off the contract and doing well. It was like, oh, I'm okay.
Yeah, I've got this. And thank you for sharing that, because the first couple years are a little rough. And there is a lot of doubt. There is overwhelm. You are secretly searching the job boards to see maybe there's something more attractive that has a steady check, right? So thank you for helping to keep it real. So fast forward 10 years, and you're in business 10 years. We just hit our 11-year anniversary, and so much has changed in this period of time. So from your perspective, looking through the content lens, what has changed and what's important for businesses that are launching or seeking to grow right now using content as a strategy?
Well, I think we're coming into a new phase of content. So over the last couple of years, it's really been social media, short clips, be it videos or, your posts. It's anything to get that attention and get those likes and comments. Where I think we're now starting to really move into, people want a relationship with the people that they're going to buy from, that they're engaging with. It's no longer enough to have those 60 seconds. They want more from you. And so I think that's where we're starting to move. And that's why I think long form content is coming back. Yes, you still need social. So you don't want to give up on that. That's still a key channel, but there needs to be something deeper that you can offer your customers, your followers, your fans, that they can then learn more about you and what it is that you offer.
Oh, hallelujah.
Yeah.
As someone who really loves to write, and long form content is my favorite go-to, I am so energized to hear that. So let's dive in. You've frequently said that buying is emotional. How are we marrying the emotional connection with people who are our future buyers with our content? What are some of the things that you're doing or that you're helping clients do right now? They're really working to establish that emotional connection.
To get there, to get anywhere near emotions, you really have to know your audience. So it's taking the time to know, and I think there's different levels of it, right? Like you really have to know consumers at a general level today. What is happening in the world? We came out of the pandemic and we're kind of settling into this new kind of way. There's these geopolitical things that are happening. So really understanding their world context, and then getting deep with the people that matter most to your business. So who are the people that you are trying to attract? Ignore everyone else. Who are those specific people? And understand what drives them. All those, there's the bio stuff, like who they are, the age, all of that, those demographics. But then what are the psychographics? What do they care about? What's driving them? What do they want in life? Really trying to understand that. And there's a number of tools in order to start to uncover some of that. But I always say you have to talk to people. You have to talk to your customers so that you can get to know that. And then it's bringing a lot of that into your content, figuring out what are the stories that are happening in your life that can relate to that, and bringing that in. And may not be your personal life, but maybe it's a client's life that you've been working with, that you can share that so that you're tapping into that emotion.
That is such an excellent point. And I'm in favor of having conversations with real people. So even in this age of AI where there's so much you can do with the AI tools. I mean, your prompts need to be perfect, and your prompting, if you're using AI for content, need to be grounded in the things that you're hearing from your ideal client audience. And you also referenced you have to be specific. So not to address your message to everyone, but to really narrow down to the person who's truly ideal.
Yeah, I think for a long time, especially because of the social media influence, we've been so obsessed with having the number of followers or the number of likes. And so bigger has always been better. So like even email lists, well, I want more people on my list. I want more listeners or downloads of my podcast. But that more doesn't always mean that they're engaged. And it doesn't always mean that they're going to lead to more sales for you. So sometimes smaller but more engaged is the better way to go. So really taking really specific, being specific about who your audience is and really finding out who matters most to your business rather than, oh, I want all these numbers.
Yeah. And that, to really tune into that signal, because that's what it is being a good listener, which is why journalists are really great content creators, is being a good listener and listening to the things that your prospects are saying or your clients are saying. And they will say something that turns into an excellent hook, because if someone's thinking it, millions of people are thinking it too.
Yeah.
And that's how you tap into that vein of what people care about most. So I love this. I'm loving this conversation, Lisa.
I think thematic on a lot of things, Deb.
Yeah, we are. So let's talk about long form content is great, but video is still king on many channels. So how do you leverage your long form content in the video channels that you participate in? And I'm asking you this specifically because you have done a fantastic job. And I have learned so much from you by seeing you get out of your comfort zone. And this is when the client starts teaching the coach, seeing you get out of your comfort zone, be really consistent on your Instagram stories, looking so natural, dropping great gems of advice. Like, what did you have to go through to get comfortable in front of the camera?
Yeah, I like to be behind the screen typing away. That is where I love to live. I love to have other people shine. That is the thing that drives me the most. So it was really uncomfortable to get in front of the camera. And I think my very first video, I was like, all right, we're going to try this. I don't know if this is going to work or how you're going to feel about it. And then I just spoke into the camera. But I have to say thank you for saying that, I look natural, because I don't feel it even a year and a little bit later after doing like 2 to 3 videos a week. It's still hard for me to be present and come out. And one of the things I'm even working on now is how do I show more of my personality, because I'm so guarded and nervous. And I'm like, okay, I just want to give the value rather than letting more people in. And so now that's the next challenge, is how do I get people to come in? And I think for me, the thing that allowed me to do it is just to do it. I can spend days, months, years thinking and planning, but it's the doing that just has to happen and just putting it out there. And I think we're at a time where everybody's doing something online, that as much as we think everyone's thinking about us, and I don't think anybody, like they see it and they probably flip through, they're not obsessing about, I didn't like the color of my lipstick or my hair wasn't in the right place. We're the ones obsessing about that, but I don't think other people are.
No, they're not. And, the content online exists for a hot minute. So if you put something out there that you're not terribly proud of, just let it go. It'll disappear. No one will remember. And the most important thing is that you're out there. And you reference the people want the personal story. And, certainly I've seen that on LinkedIn and long form content, where whenever I share something about my past or what got me here or the inside story, people really gravitate to those types of stories. And I think the same is true with video, that they want to see like, well, what's your content creation process? Like, what's your typical day like? What do you drink for breakfast? Those types of things. And so even though you're not a celebrity, you are a celebrity in the circles of people who follow you. And so to some extent, if you commit to content, you really owe it to your audience. It's sort of like having a podcast. You've committed to creating content on a weekly basis for a growing group of listeners and people who are consuming that. And so you owe it to them to be consistent. So maybe that's a little hack that I just made up to get out of myself and think about other people and that the content is actually serving them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So what happens when you have something that's working and then it's not?
That does happen. I always say give it time. Make sure that you've given it enough time, because we can think it's not working. We can, oh, we didn't get enough likes on that video, we shouldn't do video anymore. Maybe not. So really make sure that when things aren't working, give it enough time. And sometimes that could just be a couple of months. But if you're seeing that consistency that, okay, this is really not working, then change things up. And sometimes it really is identifying what could be wrong. So going back to that video example, maybe it's not videos that is wrong, it's maybe what you're sharing in your video. So really taking a look at all of the factors involved in the thing that you're doing that you think is wrong, and what are all the possibilities that you can change up. And sometimes it's just small tweaks rather than abandoning, because I do find that a lot of, especially in the beginning, a lot of small businesses, they will try something for a little bit, give up, either because they run out of time or energy, or they think it's not working, and they do a complete segue to a new lane. And then they try that for a little bit, and it's just always jumping around. So stay consistent, do minor tweaks first, but then after, give it a good amount of time, like 4 or 5 months, then you can do a full shift.
Yeah, that's great advice, because it takes time for your audience to get into the rhythm of your communication. So we started something probably about 5 weeks ago now. It's a little less than 5-minute video clip that we broadcast on all our channels every Monday called Money Monday. And they're just tips on growing your business. And, I approached it with the thought that, well, we'll just see what happens. It's not a whole lot of effort for me. I literally come up with it on Monday morning. I record the 5-minute clip and then set it up to broadcast on all of our channels. And as the weeks go by, there are more people engaging with that content, because if you broadcast live, you don't have the captions. So people actually have to sit with you for 3 to 5 minutes to get that content. And so it was just an experiment, but we've given it a shot, and I think we'll stick with it. And who knows, it's just a matter of trying something new. And that was an idea that came from someone on my team who's in charge of sales. And she said, I think, the audience would love to engage with you in conversation about some of the issues that they care most about. And so we're trying this. But yeah, you have to stick with something for a while, so whether that's, LinkedIn audio or posting, to be consistent. So what are your top 3 recommendations for someone who is a solopreneur and really wants to get a leg up on their content creation? What are the top 3 things that they should be focusing on? Because sometimes people try to do too many things in too many channels, and they water down their marketing efforts, and they're not using their content to actually engage people in conversations to be able to get sales conversions down the line.
Yeah, I think that's where I would start. Is the first one is really hone in on what are the 1, maybe 2 channels that you want to focus on, so that you can be consistent, because consistency is the be all and end all of marketing. If you are not consistent, it's just not going to work, especially for content. So really focus in on what is it. And to make that decision, you really want to look at where are the people that matter most to your business. Where are they? Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? What is that? The channel that they will gravitate towards, so that it's easier for you to find your tribe. So first, that I think now there are AI tools. And I know a lot of writers and content creators will say, don't mention AI, but I am a big proponent and I do use AI. I think it is a resource and a tool that we can use rather than the content marketer. I can spot when someone's post is fully AI written. And so use it to get you 60% of the way there, and then use your time to really make it personal, bring in a client story, bring in that emotion into the piece. And then probably the third one is to repurpose. So everything you do, go back, because you really want to extend the ROI on everything that you do. So if you've put out a post, let's say on LinkedIn, and it had a little bit of a story, can you use that into a long form blog article? Or can that become part of a talk that you would do on podcast as a guest? So really taking a look, going back and reusing your content and repurposing it for another time. And people won't remember that you posted something 3 months ago. You don't want to repeat, but you do want to take those ideas and bring them out again.
Right. I think that's a very overlooked tactic that, people try to create too much unique content. So for me, we create posts for LinkedIn and then I can talk about it on Instagram. It's the same topic, it's just a different format. And one of those articles could also be my LinkedIn newsletter for the week and all of those things. So we love to repurpose content. So you started JACC Communications 10 years ago. You work with small business owners. When is someone ready? How can a business owner tell if they are ready to hire out and have someone do their content for them?
It is a personal decision, but it really comes down to if you don't have the time anymore to do it. Some people don't want to do it. I've worked with some who they're like, it's just not my thing. Maybe they're accountants or consultants and they're like, this is not my thing. And that might be one of the first things they come to, and they will say, I'm going to outsource this. But then for those who like to do it, like yourself, Deb, you've just brought someone on. It really is, when do you think that you need someone to bring more of a professional perspective to it, who can bring a strategic lens that is going to not only be able to help you create the content, but really think across your channels and across your customer journey, and where content can kind of fit in so that you can guide your customers from that, fans and followers into actual paying customers. And then what happens even and beyond that, so that they keep coming back.
Yeah, I think that's super important, because I would say it's probably better not to struggle with trying to become a good storyteller if you're just not.
Yeah.
And to hire out. And every time I have hired a copywriter, even for a project, I have learned to become a better writer by working with them. So when you hire people, sometimes the secondary benefit is you become a better writer because you learn how they think about writing copy or creating content. So that's great advice.
Because I've been in this business for 10 years and the previous 15 in-house, social media kind of blew up during this time. And so I've had to do a lot of adapting. And one of the things I did probably about 6 or 7 years ago, when I was like, okay, I really need to learn more about social media and how I can do this, I brought someone on to help with social media, and I learned from them. So I was like, okay, so how do they do this? How do they think about this? So that I could develop and train myself by using other experts. And so if you want to do it on your own, sometimes it's having someone come in for a little bit to kind of show you the ropes, and then you might be able to take it on or bring someone on internally.
And hire someone who has complementary skills to yours. If you have a skill in long form content, that's great. For instance, I guess I'll make it personal. So I love to write. I don't love video. So the content leader that we've just brought onto our team is great with video. And so she is going to be my video coach. She can tell me what I'm supposed to talk about, what the scene is, where she wants me to be, and how to engage with the audience. And I am really good at following directions. And so I'll just do what she tells me to do. So sometimes you just need an accountability person, someone who's an expert in a particular channel or a particular technology, to coach you along and help you get it done. But, 80% of your time as an entrepreneur is on business development activities. And right now, content is the number one business development activity that most entrepreneurs are focused on. So don't squander your investment in building your brand through world-class content, because it's crowded. It's more and more crowded. There are more consultants, more coaches, more service providers out there, especially women business owners, because of everything that's going on in corporate with the broken rung from the McKinsey report, the great breakup, as others have called it. So you really need to have content that stands out, that grabs people's attention, that engages them with a story. Lisa, what else do we need to know? Is there any final word that you want to share with our listeners today on maybe something that's less obvious? Is there anything less obvious that people don't consider when they're creating content? Maybe you've mentioned frequently that people want to be educated, entertained, and empowered. Like, how do you do the entertainment and empowering piece? We're also great at education.
Yeah, the entertainment could be just, it doesn't mean that you're going to sing and dance on TikTok. That's not entertainment.
Oh, darn.
At least that is not the thing that I want to do. But it could be bringing them something to think about. So the empowered, you don't have to be the sage all the time, but you can curate that and bring something along. One of the other things that I've done is I started sharing a little bit, because I wanted to be more personal, just sharing that kind of what they call it BTS reel, I don't even know, behind the scenes. That's what BTS stands for, of me like baking, because that is usually my creative outlet, is I will bake. And so I'll just put these little videos together of me doing stuff outside of work. And part of that is entertainment, but then the other part is also to that personal piece. But other entertainment could be, sharing, if you're up on pop culture, sharing something there so that there's just something that's a bit more fun. It could be, I do work in my car often because I have kids. And so I've done those videos of me working in a car, and they've gotten so much engagement because people are like, oh, that's what I do. And that's so real. And so that's part of entertainment. I'm not talking about doing a movie or dancing. It's just finding those little ways to bring a little bit of light and joy.
That's brilliant. I love that. And there's great acoustics in your car.
And the lighting is fantastic.
Great lighting and acoustics. I used to wonder why people always shot videos in their cars. I was like, oh yeah, it's really, you can look good and sound good in the car. So I love that. The BTS B-roll behind the scenes is super important as well. So my friends, Lisa has shared some fantastic tips on how to be more consistent, more engaging with storytelling, and connecting with the emotions of your ideal clients through your content. Lisa, if someone wants to speak with you about working together or wants to learn more about the services that JACC Communications provide, what is the best way for them to get in touch?
If they come to my website, you'll be able to get all my links. So it's jaccommunications.ca. And while you're there, there's also a content marketing scorecard that you could try that out and see where you gauge on how you're doing with your content marketing, where you may need more support.
That's terrific. We'll post those links below in the show notes, my friends. And Lisa, thank you so very much. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show, to share your wisdom. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you. I loved being here.
All right, my friends, get consistent with your content, tell great stories, entertain, educate, get over yourself, and just go out there and just do it. Thank you for now. That is the end of this episode of Life After Corporate. We will see you next time, my friends. Take care. Make it a good one. Thanks for listening, my friend. If you enjoyed this show, please head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave us a review. And be sure to hop over to the Life After Corporate Facebook group and join other growing entrepreneurs to get weekly tips on how to create more money and meaning doing work you love.